Okay, 5:30 in the morning. I'm going to my surgery, my hand surgery for my hand. Gonna get screws and plates. My wife is driving me,
Hello.
so wish me luck. If anybody sees this video, it's because I survived. If you never see this video, that means I'm dead. All right, everybody, I'm here. I made it. I'm going in for surgery. I'll catch you all later. All right, this is my room, so to speak. Got my own little TV here. This is what it looks like. Most likely will be sleeping here. My surgery's like in seven in the morning, so I get here at 5:30. But anyways, so this is what I'm gonna be wearing. My socks, my gown that opens up in the bag, and my little hairnet. I gotta put this away in a different thing. All my clothes goes in here. All right, this is an update to my surgery. Uh, Let me try to move my arm here a little bit. I got what's called a block. Uh, so basically, they blocked off my nerves, so I cannot bend this arm. This arm will it's just gonna fall. So I have to hold it with my right hand. So this is the result of the surgery. I can move my pinky without the bone feeling like it's gonna separate, and this as well, my fourth metacarpal. So my fifth metacarpal, my fourth metacarpal, and these fingers were fine to begin with. They are tingling. They are very swollen, if you can see that. This is the day after surgery. I was very, very exhausted after the surgery. Let me put this back in the sling before I drop my hand. Oh goodness. Yeah, so I could oops, sorry. I'm knocking the camera and everything. Yeah, my right hand is basically well, of no use, because what happens is it just my right hand would just drop because it has a block on it. Basically, I'll roll in some footage here. There's a machine that I'm wearing as a fanny pack. It pumps something into my body around my collarbone, which basically numbs any feeling to my arm, which doesn't allow me to lift my arm. So it's called a block. It's supposed to help with the pain, because after all, I do have like up 2 plates and probably 4 to 5, maybe probably 6 or maybe even 8 screws in my fourth and fifth metacarpal. So I'm just going to share with you my experience with surgery. All right. So uh, I go into surgery. They got me all hooked up, and it's been a long time since I've been in surgery. Last time I've been in surgery was when I was a kid. And the reason why I don't like going to surgery is because when I woke up, I felt very nauseous. That's when I was a kid. Technology has changed quite a bit. They gave me an IV, so that's the place for the IV. It's actually up a little bit higher on my hand, but it slipped down. And they just put the anesthesia. Is it called anesthesia or anesthesia? Well, they put me to sleep, and it happened so quick I don't even remember it. I remember being wheeled to the operating table, and they had a place for my left hand and my right hand to lay down. You know, it almost felt like you're getting a lethal injection. You know, you're put to death by lethal injection. Kind of seemed that way, but it's not. There was one, two, three, four, maybe even 5 people. So there was at least 2 nurses and then two doctors, the anesthesiast, I think they're called. I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. And then my doctor, the orthopedist, because he was going to do the surgery. So at least four people, maybe even five people, you know. So my total cost for fracturing my fourth and fifth metacarpal is $1,800 is what I had to pay out of pocket. Um, that's right now, and I'm assuming that was good because my wife picked the plan. When I went to go pay for it, the nurse was saying it's a really good plan because she saw more people, she's seen more people pay more for the same surgery out of pocket anyway. I mean, total cost is total cost. So whatever insurance I had, my wife picked out a good insurance, and so they put me on the table. I closed my eyes, and that's the last thing I remember. And when I woke up, I was in a waiting room, I guess. I was already on a bed. I was in a bed, and I already had like a blood pressure thing wrapped around my arm. I had other stuff hooked up to my chest and everything, and they're already monitoring me. They're telling me to take a deep breath, and man, I was like dozing in and out of sleep. So the drugs were still in my system. I must have supposedly I should have been ready to leave around 9 to 10 o'clock. When I woke up, it was about 11. So I took a little bit longer waking up. I went in 5:30 in the morning, and then I finally left around 12, almost 12:30. So I was pretty much in there for half the day. So when I woke up, I was going in and out of sleep. Eventually, um, the nurse tried to get me dressed as much as she could, but I was just not feeling good. I was nauseated. I felt like vomiting, and this is what they gave me. And the technology, the procedures have changed a lot since I was a kid. Um, the IV and putting me sleep through the IV is something new. When I was a kid, they put a little gas mask on me and made me breathe in and out. I felt like I was suffocating. With the IV, I just boom, I was out. I don't even remember. I don't remember anything, you know. But when I did wake up, my hand was throbbing. My hand was throbbing, and I had this on. This is an ice pack. I still have it because parts of my hand. I'm gonna try to extend my hand out here. So parts of my hand was throbbing. I could feel the bone a little bit. It did hurt. It did hurt, and but most of all, the reason I never liked going into surgery was because I started getting nausea and I was getting hot, so they gave me a towel with a wet rag, which I use this a lot just to cool me down. There was a nurse when I woke up. There was a nurse ready with some ice chips, so I wanted some ice chips because my mouth was very thirsty, it felt dry. They just gave me just a little bit, and so I just kind of chewed on it. It did help. But man, I did not feel good. They eventually put me off the bed and into a recliner, and I stayed there for probably another hour. So I did wake up around 10 o'clock or maybe 11 o'clock, and I stayed there for about another hour just to feel better, to get on my feet because I probably couldn't have walked right away. I was very lightheaded. I almost felt like I had vertigo. I was patting my forehead, patting the back of my neck, just trying to keep from overheating. It felt like I was overheating. It almost felt like I also was sort of in shock. My body was in shock. It almost felt that way um, because it just something wasn't right, or it felt like something wasn't right. But this is kind of normal. I guess this is the stuff they don't talk about. When they say, yeah, we're gonna put you into surgery. You know, you just have to deal with it. But I'm an adult. I did vomit eventually. They gave me I didn't have a lot of ice chips, but they did give me some Sprite so I could kind of burp because I felt like burping a lot, and almost like dry heaving. But my stomach was empty, So they gave me some Sprite to just take a little sip out of a straw. It was ice. They gave me a can and a cup with ice in it, and they poured it in there with the straw. And I was sipping out of the straw. And I wanted to throw up. I couldn't. I wanted to throw up, but finally, after throwing up, and this is the throw up bag they give you, which is a lot nicer than um, like a bowl that I remember having a kid to throw up in. But I threw up, and about, let me see here, how much I would say about 4 ounces of fluid came out, which probably was the soda, because when I threw up, it was all bubbly. It was like I was a seltzer dispenser. I felt like I was a seltzer dispenser. I was just dispensing out carbonated water, and I could see it bubble, bubble up down here. Anyways, so I asked for another one. It's just for the ride home. So after I threw up, I felt a lot better, but the nurse was kind of concerned. I had like 3 different nurses at all this time come to me, but I think the main nurse, who was gonna like make sure I get discharged, uh, saw that I'm not in a condition to leave, and she was considering to give me another medication for the nausea. I didn't want it. I didn't want any more drugs in my system. And I was after I threw up, vomited into the bag, and cooled down just a little bit more. This was for my arm, but with all the padding that I got on my arm, I can barely feel it. I'm using this right now for the exposed for my exposed hand because they're warm. The fingers on the other hand, are very tingly. So I use this to kind of cool it down. But after I got cooled down and I felt good enough to get on my feet to get into a wheelchair, I couldn't have walked out. For me, there was no way I could have walked out. But I felt good enough to stand up and get into a wheelchair. They wheelchaired me out and they took me home, and I was laying down, and man, I took another nap. I was out. The effects of the anesthesia, I don't know how to pronounce it, but really, really hit me hard. And I slept most of the day yesterday, but now I feel a lot better, a lot better. So that's my update. So here, here's my hand again. I'm going to pull it out of the sling because my hand is just gonna fall right out. Ugh. So I have to hold it like this. So this is what it looks like. Uh, I could, and I have 2 medication. I have antibiotics and some painkiller. I don't know what it's called, but I'm allowed to take ibuprofen and antihistamine for the seasonal allergy. After taking the painkiller, the um, what's it called? Painkiller and antihistamine and the antibiotics, I started feeling a lot better. This is still swollen, but it feels a lot better. But after taking, especially the Clarinex, yeah, that's what it is, some kind of Clarinex product, generic brand, um, I started feeling a lot better because I didn't take any yesterday or the day before the surgery, and I think I was starting to get a little bit of headache, but now I feel better. I'm still lightheaded, but man, this is my new. It's not a cast. It's actually a splint. They gave me another splint. It's basically at the bottom, and all this is just bandage on top. And obviously, they cut me through here and here. I could feel the stitching when I do this. I could feel where they cut me because it hurts a little bit. I could feel that pain. And yeah, if I let go, my arm is just gonna drop. I can't do this. I could lift up my shoulder like this, but my arm has to be straight. So it's kind of weird. Anyways, let me conclude this episode. So I did get steels. I did get a plate and some screws. Hopefully there'll be an X-ray for me to show. I didn't take any X-rays, but I have another appointment in about 2 weeks, and I'll keep you up to date on it.